All right, y'all. Let's do this. Let's get our intro song up and rolling. We are recording everywhere. All right, let's do this. What?
On there too?
Yeah, we're recording. Yeah, we're good. All right. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Good evening, beautiful people. You are in for one hell of a show this evening. We are doing a segment called Story Time, brought to you by Vixen Industries. We got Miss Harley Joe over here joining us. We've got my boy Austin Smith up there in Detroit, Rock City. And right out of Cobra Creek, Colorado, we've got the world famous Colt Cobra. Colt, what's going on, my man? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I guess I should have went and put my mask on, but I didn't want everybody to hurry up and pull their screens down.
Well, what I'm going to do right now,
it's all good. We're doing well. We got sunshine today and snow tomorrow. So it's like, holy crap, what's going on? This could be Armageddon. We don't know.
what we're going to do right
one
here.
of the stories in story time, I've got some pretty cool stories from back in the day that a lot of people like to relive. Because like I said earlier, it was a part of our lives when we could walk around with smiles on our face and people really didn't have to think what you was doing with your hands in your pockets. So when I got inducted in 2015 in the Hall of Fame, as I mentioned in our previous broadcast, I took it fairly lightly. And those that know me, I'm not really a perfectionist, even though I've worked for Dan Patrick. I feel like he and I really click together, and those that know Dan Patrick, he can be pretty spectacular sometimes when he does lose his cool. So I'm able to get under his skin. But anyway, that was when we was bringing back the Snakebite. I guess it would have been probably the 25th anniversary. So they were going to bring it back as a red Snakebite, and my good buddy Josh Gibson come up with the name Vinny Venom. And we talked a long time about what to do. And I said, dude, put the mask on. You can get by with any kind of shit you want to do. You don't have to listen to nobody. You're Mr. Badass. No, and all you're going to do is the people that you piss off, you're going to gain 5 other ones because you're out there just kicking ass and taking names. And he thought that was really cool. Well, when we were doing the speech, and I'm going over what I need to say. And obviously, when you get up on any kind of stage, unless you do this for a living, you immediately forget, what you're supposed to say. And that old cliche, well, just imagine everybody naked. No, not looking at a bunch of old monster truck guys. Imagine them naked. No, I couldn't throw up. I didn't want to do that. So during the speech, I got Julie Kramer gave me some advice because Jim had actually gotten choked up during his speech, and Andy Brassett got choked up. And I thought, what a bunch of pansies, It's just, you're just up there giving a speech. How hard can it be? She said, I'll give you like 3 minutes. And I thought, well, what are you talking about? I got this in the bank. After about 60 seconds, I just called her out. I'm like, Julie, you win. And I literally started tearing up because, like I said earlier, just the energy in the room, and to know that all your peers was put you in there. So about 3/4 of the way through the speech, my mom was very instrumental in my monster truck career, and she was there in Memphis, Tennessee, with my dad. They drove down there to see the debut of Snakebite, and she battled a lot of things in her later years, with one of them being the big C. And it was very emotional for me. So I held my plaque up, and I said, Mom, look, because I always told Mom I was going to be a famous comedian. Well, she didn't know that comedian was going to be driving a monster truck, but it was really cool. And I started crying a little bit, and I told everybody I needed a break, and the whole crowd went silent. And as I ducked down behind the podium, I actually pulled out my Colt Cobra mask and put my Colt Cobra mask on. And then when I come up from behind the podium, the whole place just erupted in this. And I mean, I just got goosebumps just now. I mean, just erupted. And I mean, I let them have it. I let them know that the retro red Snakebite truck was coming back and hell's coming with us. And we're going to put everybody out of their misery. And I mean, I'm just roaring with this. And it was just such a phenomenal feeling that just to bring Snakebite back. And even this weekend in Butler, people were asking, where's your mask? And I'm like, oh, I didn't bring it. You didn't bring your mask? I'm like, no, I really didn't want to take anything away. But now I feel like Adam West was in Batman, you know, everywhere I walk around, I think I need to have this damn mask, you know? So it's like, it was pretty, that was a pretty cool story, you know, and I really wanted to mention that because I do think that the Hall of Fame is going to be, it's starting over, but it's going to get big again. And there's nothing like it in the rest of this country right now. But another story, yes, you guys brought it up, Roadhouse. I was able to do 3 movies actually. Tango and Cash. I worked with Jim Kramer on Tango and Cash, Police Academy 6, and Roadhouse. And there's several stories from Roadhouse that really come to mind. No, I did not get to see the naked swimming pool party. They filmed that the day before we got there. Yeah, that happened the day before I got there. I didn't even know anything about it till I don't know, later on. But to have Sam Elliott come up and sit down at your table and want to know if we're the people with that big blue truck, and we're like, yeah, and you know, and then he says that that's the coolest damn stunt he ever seen, and he would always talk to me every day, and I got my pictures with him. I mean, that was like, that's a story in itself. But then the fact that I actually get in the movie just on a whim, thinking they're going to cut that out. And then when we're at the movie theater watching it, and here's Gene popping out from behind that pole, you know, and I'm like, holy shit, look at that. I'm on the movies, you know. Yeah, I'm not getting rich, Austin. Don't even think that. But anyway, those people that know Ron Bachman, the late Ron Bachman, he was a gentle giant, a teddy bear. He's sadly missed. But the boy loved his air conditioning. It didn't matter where you went. He had to have the AC on. I mean, if you were riding with him in the semi, he had that AC cranked so cold, you had to have 2 electric blankets on in the back to try to stay warm. Well, we're out there doing Roadhouse, and he got bunked up with me for the first week or whatever at the hotel. And he broke the air conditioner, literally turned it down so low that he broke the AC. I got up. I didn't even want to get out from underneath the covers, and I was screaming at him. I said, Lurch, get up and turn that damn AC back up. You could see your breath in the room. It was so freaking cold. And he was over laughing. He wouldn't get up because he had like double amount of blankets on. And that was the only time we went to the front desk and had to change rooms because he was too damn cold. Now, I mean, that's a story there. He was really one in a million, if there's even a name like that, 1 in a million. We had such good time on the road together when he used to travel with me. And even when him and Andy would run together, it was like a comedian thing that you'd see on television. I mean, here's this guy that's 7 foot whatever, and the little munchkin man, Andy, that's 4'2", you know, and it's just like, you guys run together. And it's like, yeah, you know, so that's some pretty cool stories. The Pender racing stuff, there was always behind the scenes stories going on with that. I'm just trying to think of some good stuff that happened. Fred and Jack were always good for a good story. It seemed like there was always some kind of storyline. I mean, everybody was out to beat Bigfoot all the time, but I don't know. I had a good story, I guess, up in Oregon one year. We were up there and had an extra week spending up there, and some guys that had a 4-wheel drive shop. It was called Richardson Brothers 4x4 service. And they knew Bob from way back when. And every time we were in that area, we always made sure to contact them. Well, we had a layover up there. So we went up to I guess, is it Mount Hood? Mount Hood, right? Mount Hood. Yeah, went four-wheeling, snow, and lots of alcohol. But we had the day off in between the shows. So everybody had jacked up Broncos, and one guy had a Blazer with no top on it, and it's 10 degrees, but who cares? We had liquid in the fuel cell and liquid in our tummies. So
Yes.
we got up there and we drove as far as we could drive until everybody got stuck, and there's vehicles just scattered everywhere and they're stuck. So we start this big bonfire. Well, we have a bonfire and we drink some more. And then we start this big ass snowball fight. And everybody's hitting each other with snowballs, and we're going on and on and on and on. Well, then it's starting to get dark and say, okay, we got to go back down the mountain. Okay. I got a Bronco 2 with a 302 in it, lifted, and it's their vehicle. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad to the bone. So I get in it and I'm like, okay, who's got the keys? I ain't got them. Nobody can find the keys. While we were having the snowball fight, I dropped the keys in the snow. So here we all are. Oh yeah. So we're sitting here and we're thinking, so one of the other guys that had work, he just comes over and he breaks the steering column completely apart, and we hot wire the Bronco and drive it back down. And like a year later or whatever, when we was out there again, they said they went back up there and found the keys. They were laying right by the big rock. But that was a pretty funny story. But today's generation of drivers don't have stories like that. The just a few I just told. I mean, Austin, you heard enough when you was with Monster Jam. The stories you hear about is when they're pissed off because they missed their airplane flight.
Well, I got a question for you real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah. What's up?
So a VHS I had when I was a kid was the Bigfoot versus Snakebite. And I'm telling you to this day, it's my favorite damn movie ever made. So you got to give me some insight on that.
The first one, when we filmed the first one, we didn't know there was going to be a number 2, like the the Snake Bites Back or something. Mm-hmm. But Scott Johnston, he would always have this far-fetched crap, and he'd always want to film the stuff when we're trying to get ready to go to a race or do this, and it just we would be agitated. So then we just start making stuff up. I mean, that whole Apple thing, that was about the most cornbally scene I think I've ever been a part of. Yeah. Well, and then when we were in Sedalia, Missouri, I don't even know what got in my head looking back on that when we were doing the trance with the happy birthday deal, Mm-hmm. And here I am with a pair of 20-year-old cowboy boots with my fire suit tucked down in it, AKA some wrestling guy. And I'm just like, who thinks this shit up? Why am I doing this? But that was a pretty cool, that was a really, 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 really good time filming that. And like I said, I didn't know. I mean, when we was up there at the shop at like 11 o'clock at night doing the whole fireworks scene and how my face is horribly scarred, and it's like 11:30 at night. Like, dude, I just want to go home. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't want to know. But then when you see it, it's like you peed your pants. Mm-hmm. It's just like, holy. And I don't know if you guys have followed any of the rebranding of the Snakebite. If you seen my video clip we just shot like 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
It's on the Was that pretty freaking cool or what?
No, that was legit, man. No, I was not expecting that. I had my phone out in front of me and it was starting to play, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then you just kind of set up and started talking smack. And I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Well, Fred, he said, well, here's what he wanted us to do. And he goes, I'm just gonna let you roll with it. And we all got done, and it was kind of like you're just everybody's just sitting there, and I'm just like, did that really just happen? Yeah, it just happened. One take, we're ready to go. All right, let's do something else, and it's just like, and everybody's just like, yeah, people was talking about that in Butler this weekend. I'm like, damn. And then I finally watched it because it took it was a couple of days before I watched it. And I'm like, when my head comes back out of that black, and it's just like, holy crap,
That
is
was
this
some
really
movie
going on?
quality type stuff right there, man. That looked good.
Yeah. Well, and another funny story, one more here, another good one too. We were in Canfield one year racing, and those that know Canfield, we do 4 races in 3 days. And you guys highlighted earlier about the abuse that the bodies take in the trucks, and it's hot and it's dusty. And I kept coming back as a fast loser against Andy. And I'm like, damn it, I can't get away from this guy. And we have, it's like, all right, Bigfoot's got to run Wildfoot again. Bigfoot's got to run Wildfoot again. And I'm like, what have I got to do to beat this guy? I just don't know what I got to do. So we had 2-way radios, communications in our helmets, and we could talk to each other. And as we're packing down the line to get the starting line to get ready to go, I'm letting my motor get up to temp, and Andy's out there rolling back and forth. And as we're pulling into the staging box, I just reach over nonchalantly, because I've always been a character. I think that's why Bob really kind of picked me to be, the Snakebite driver, because I was just that kind of guy. But anyway, I keyed up the mic, and you guys are going to have to do a little research on this, because I know it's way past what you guys are going to hear. But I keyed up the little mic, and I said, I kind of looked over at it, kind of glanced over. I couldn't really turn my head, and I said, "Pardon me, sir. Do you have any Grey Poupon mustard?"
What?
And Grey Poupon mustard. And back in the day, they used to do this TV commercial where these 2 rich guys pulled up in limos sitting next to each other. And they'd roll down their window, and that's what they'd be talking about. And Andy just started laughing, and we staged him, and I smoked him by about a tire length. And I mean, I got back to the pits, and all the crew guys are over there just laying on the ground laughing their asses off because of what I said. But, those were the fun moments that that really broke up a lot of the monotonous of all the travels. And, doing the 4 shows in 3 days. And that kind of passion helped me keep going. And then towards the end, it got to be where it was just too much. I mean, when you're traveling 47, weeks out of 52, and you're kicking your tires out at a truck wash to wash your tires in the middle of the week, because you're just so damn tired, you don't want to do them at the show. So you're flipping the guy half a box of hats, and you're rolling your tires out so they'll wash them, because you're just wore out. But that's what monster trucks are all about. And that's what drives the sport, and the stories like that obviously your NASCAR people don't have that, because they've got way higher people paying to do that. But Austin, you've pulled wrenches, so you know what it takes to keep these things going. And if you don't break it up and make jokes about it, you're going to burn yourself out really, really fast. And St. Louis, Cody crashes the truck, and it's 1:00 in the morning, and I'm up there putting the fiberglass back on, and he's, later I see this posted on Facebook about, does this guy never quit? And that's what we were raised up to do. You never quit. And sadly, there's probably a lot of them that work for them that would be rather at the bar drinking, or just saying to hell with it and come back tomorrow and finish it. But working for Bigfoot, you never give up. I mean, when I got knocked out in Bloomsburg, I mean, we were up till 2:00 in the morning putting that truck back up, and finished up the next morning. And all the independent teams came back thinking that they had Bigfoot on the ropes, and they pull in the arena, and here's Bigfoot 10 sitting over there all put back together. It's just like it just sucked the whole wind out of their sails. And I mean, of course, yeah, later that day I got knocked out, and that was another story in itself, because you never got to fly home when you worked for Bigfoot unless you ended up at the hospital. So I got to fly home twice in my 10-year career.
So I'm looking at
go ahead, Austin. Go ahead.
So I'm looking at Bigfoot's website. There's a little section. It's like, where are they now? And you have your own little section. And it says here, you've driven trucks 2 through 10, fast tracks. And the trucks I really want to talk about is Shuttle and the Ranger. Some of the weirdest builds I've probably ever seen out of Bigfoot. So what was it like driving those? I mean, those are kind of a bit smaller than a regular cab pickup.
The Shuttle, if I could get it today, I'd get it. We had so much fun with that Shuttle because it had a V6 in it. I mean, we used to pull it in and out of the shop every day at Bigfoot and park it out front. And whatever trucks was in town, Bob used to like to park them out front. And again, it was a job. You really didn't think about it. And then when you start talking about, like I'm talking to you now, you look back and you're thinking, damn, you guys got to drive them trucks every day? Yeah. Well, that was our job. Yeah. Really? No way. And it's like, yeah. I mean, the shuttle was pretty cool. When we put it on nitrous, it wasn't cool.
I didn't know that.
The little the little V6 motor that kind of said it doesn't like nitrous that much. And when you'd push that button on that thing and hear them rods clanging in there, it's like, no, I don't think we need to do this very much. But Bob wanted to he was always trying to do something, he wanted a little more to get it up onto the cars because it just didn't have enough power. Well, after doing that, it's like, I don't think we need that in here at all. But the Ranger with that 572 Hemi, that's the definition of bad. Yeah, that was the definition of bad. We're sitting around the shop there one day, and Bob come out and he says, hey, let's go down to Lesterville and shoot some pictures. We'll take the tank, we'll take the Ranger and the shuttle. We're making a new calendar or whatever. I'll buy lunch. I mean, how many bosses can say that? Let's load this stuff up and go. So some of the stuff online that I've seen in recent weeks has me driving across the bridge, one of the bridges down there at Lesterville where Bob used to go. And I got a 3-wheeler, the 3-wheeler of death, Honda, that everybody, oh, these are death traps. Well, I had it in the bed of the Ranger and it looked like just somebody tooling across the water, and we were out launching that thing. And I mean, when you hit the throttle on that little Ranger, no. I watched Ken Kelling drive it at Indianapolis, and there's nothing. You could prepare yourself for that. I don't care what it is. That's like a rocket ship times 10. It was so much wrong with that whole setup from the get-go, but God dang, was it sharp, and man, did it have some neat shit on it. The tank, that tank was she was a blast to drive. And the neat thing about that was you didn't have to change tires. You come out of the building, you throw your ramps down, you drove the tank up on it, threw 2 chains on it, you're down the road. You're already down the road while everybody else is out there, getting their tires off, loading them up. So I really liked driving that. That was a lot of fun too.
So you move away from Bigfoot for a little while. You go with the Samson crew, but then you come back and you do the world famous Monster Trucks 2000.
I didn't know it was going to be like that, I was working with Meager a little bit. And he was very reserved at that time. And he told me that some people had called him and, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, just cut to the chase. What are we doing? And then when he showed us the script, and then they said they was going to shoot it live, it's like, okay, well, this has never been done before. And reading through the script, it was really, really terrible scripting.
Oh man,
I got nothing for you on it. I mean, when the best thing that come out, I won't say the best thing, but I kept telling them something was wrong with the truck. The truck didn't feel right. And I hadn't been driving for quite a while. I'd been working in the office and marketing and helping book the trucks. So that was my really first good chance driving on sand with number 11. And it just seemed like it was real squirty. And I kept telling Kramer and him, I don't think the shocks are right. This doesn't feel right. So, I mean, I'm going to give it everything it's got. I'm not going to back up. And next thing you know, I'm barrel are rolling down the front straightaway. And I know there's some semis blocking the gate. And that was one of the worst crashes I ever had because I'm wondering when the truck's going to stop. Mm-hmm. So I get out and we go in, and they're interviewing. Of course, then that changes the whole scene because now somebody sabotaged the truck and that wasn't written in the script. And, Dan Patrick comes over to me and he goes, I smell sequel. I'm like, no, I don't think this is going to make a sequel off of this. This is beyond this is not a B movie.
This is not
I think this is like, no, this is not even in the alphabet, the movie that this was, but it was fun. Yeah, I mean, Jim Kramer kept calling me back in '98, wanting me to come back. And I was driving a truck at the time and I really didn't know why, but I went back, and then I had that real bad crash. And then I decided that, yeah, enough's enough. I help out a lot of teams now, you know that. I enjoy the hell out of pulling wrenches when Cody was driving. I enjoy going to Tom Mintz's shop and shooting the shit and talking stories about our family and how our families have grown up. Dennis was with me at Indianapolis this past year, and he wasn't consumed with having to go here or go there, being pulled in 25 different directions. We were just two people sitting there just talking about the good old days. And I mean, we went four-wheeling on the beach with him and Ryan and Adam. The kids were sitting on our laps, and my oldest daughter Shelby was sitting on our lap. And I mean, those are just the stories that put it to where we're at now. I mean, those are the stories that made monster trucks. Those are how monster trucks got started. And somewhere along the way, we kind of got over commercialized and lost our way a little bit, but the product is still out there. And that's what drives me, to know that I was in the sport from the beginning, and I'm still hanging around now because it's something that I really believe in. And you don't find that in a lot of other motorsport entities. When they walk away, they usually walk away. They never come back. And our industry, we don't just walk away. We just walk over and go to the toolbox and get a new tool.
So I'm sure there's probably some moments in your career where, you're nervous. You're thinking, man, I might be under the gun for this one. I might be losing my job because of this one. Was one of those moments maybe when you ran over a shed in Snakebite?
Actually, you know what? That never really crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was, and it was just stupid on my part. After landing on the shed, and I get out, and late George Carpenter's standing out there, and I'm like, why didn't you shut me off? Why didn't you just shut me off? And he just has this look on his face, this blank look on his face. Well, later, and Bob said, you keep saying that. Well, Gene, all you got to do is take your foot off the gas. And it's like, no, there's no lifting at this point, After I seen I was going over the barrier, it's just like, well, let's see what else we can hit out here in the parking lot, and boom, The time I went over Gary Porter in Nashville, that was one of the low points. That was really scary. Mm-hmm. And that you don't see that footage out there very much at all. That was at a USA show, and I was in number 9 with Snake on it. And Nashville, everybody calls it Crashville because it is. There's been some really bad crashes, horrific crashes at Nashville Speedway, especially if you had to run the pit road, because it's not wide enough, obviously. And 9 times out of 10, of course, like when number 4 landed on the pit wall and totally destroyed it, and we rebuilt it and brought it back from the ashes. I mean, it should be called the Phoenix, not number 4. But Porter, you're supposed to go away off the end of the track and turn and come back to the pits. Well, Gary, in the semifinal round, after he beat me, he decided he was just going to make a hard right into the pits. He didn't know that I'd just run about 70, 80 feet down the pit wall, buried up underneath my ass, running down the transfer case and trying to get the truck back under control. So he's making that hard right, and right there he is. So I just drove right over the top of him. And Gary's, famous lines, I can't even talk like Gary, but he said, it didn't bother me so much that you run over me, but he said, I could hear you, and you're in the throttle as you're going over the top of me. And he said, that really pissed me off. And I'm like, well, yeah, I had to get over you. I wasn't just going to come up there and bump you. You got to make something exciting. So yeah, that was pretty
Monster Jam
bad
type stunts before Monster Jam ever existed.
Oh yeah, if you look at the Union Grove show the day before in qualifying with a leaf spring truck, and I'm sitting out there on the sidewalls, bringing the truck back up on, all fours and driving out of it. When different people post that online now, about how they do that stuff, I'm like, we were doing that freaking 20 years ago. Where you been, Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I said earlier, I have a few regrets towards, just the way I conceive, the way I brought myself off on, and I got wrapped up in a lot of stuff that I just let it get into my head too much, and not really, I wasn't really proud as a person. But later, I felt like I found where I needed to be, and to finish my career out. Probably one of the most regretful, I really wanted to win a championship. Everybody wants to win a championship, don't get me wrong. But I really, really wanted to win one of those PINDA championships. And for finishing first and second 2 years in a row, that's a major accomplishment for back then, with the amount of caliber of trucks that was out there, and the amount of stuff we took to the track every week. It was expected of us, but to actually pull it off. And Andy and I used to play the brackets, and most people don't know that, Andy would always assume he was going to qualify number one. So you tried to qualify two, and you'd feather the throttle, or you'd back up a little bit, or, just to try to get to brackets so you wouldn't meet each other out to the end. And a lot of other teams out there were just holding it flat on the floor, just going for it every round. And there's just so much behind the scenes on that type, on the PINDA days, in the racing part of it, that it really made you, it was like drag racing. It was like John Force has 5 cars in here, but you don't want to run each other till the finals. So, we were doing that stuff back then, and it's pretty awesome to look back on it and see that, and see what we did back in the day compared to what they're doing today. No, they've set the bar so damn high now that there's no going back. You can't back down, and the one weakest link is the human body. And that's what scares me the most. The trucks are being built a lot safer. Patrick builds some kick-ass trucks. And I know that a lot of the Monster Jam trucks, before they even leave the shop, they're tacked and tuned, and they're in the most greatest shape. But some of these stunts that I'm seeing are attempting, when what is his now? I can't even see. I can see his face now. When you come running out of the tunnel at Las Vegas and you jump the length of the track, almost, it's just like, where the hell are you going?
I think he's talking. I think he's talking about Todd LeDuc.
Todd LeDuc, probably.
Oh yeah, yeah. And off road, I always wanted to run off road trucks or try to ride with somebody. We met some of the greatest ones whenever Jim and I. We met Ivan Stewart, and we met Walker Evans, and that's where we really started developing that's when the truck started going to 4 links and nitrogen and stuff, because we seen that, and we knew that we had to start changing, or we were just going to be left behind in the dust. But yeah, we rubbed elbows when we used to run the Mickey Thompson series, and I seen it, I met all that stuff, and I thought, man, just watching those trucks fly through like the LA Coliseum and stuff like that. And then the fact that we did that with number 9, and when Kramer, I was standing at the top, and he said, stand by the wall where I can see you. And he launched that truck out of the Coliseum top, and it just kind of drifted down to the bottom and just set like, and then you look over at the off-road guys, and they're all thinking, uh-oh, we're in trouble now. Because, and that's what the pullers thought back in the day, and it's just like, yeah, every little obstacle we've had to jump it and take it to the next level. And I don't see another level for Monster Jam right now. I really don't. But I really think some of the smaller promoters, Austin Music, Kansas City, Manson, I'm sitting there looking at these hills they're putting inside these buildings, and I really don't know why the guy up there on the 3rd level buying popcorn needs to reach out there and shake your hand as you're flying by him. Yeah. It's like, I think they're there just to see a show. They don't need to see.
You said while we were there was, if you're sitting up there, higher up, it really doesn't even seem that impressive. You got to get a seat down below, and then you see these guys are literally jumping. Yeah. Wow, they're up there.
Yeah. When you watch when you watch Beck run that dump truck, and I watched him at Indy this last year, and even Charlie Palcom was standing on the stage with me, and we're watching him out there when Jerry's launching that truck through the air. Charlie's just sitting there with big eyes. And I say, what goes on your mind? And he goes, well, he likes to look at other people, and that's what I do. It's like, what would you do in this situation? But he also looks and he can see stuff, and he plans like his game out. And he says, you don't get to get that when you're sitting back in the tunnel at a Monster Jam show or something. You got all this in your head, but it goes out the window when you pull out there. But guys like Jerry and stuff like that, you sit there, and when you physically see it, you're thinking about that human body element. You're like, damn, he's way up there. Oh my God, I hope he doesn't get hurt. But when you're behind the wheel and you're flying 3 stories, 4 stories up above everything, and it lands, you're thinking, wow, that was pretty cool. But then when you get home at night and you're laying in you're in a tub of ice, you're thinking, that ain't really cool.
So going back and talking a little bit about Snakebite being the first 3D body, were you with Bigfoot when they started that whole sponsorship, or I guess partnership they had with the whole wrestling ordeal where they had all the other kooky bodies coming about?
No, I left whenever that started coming on. Everett Jasmer was a huge advocate when we brought Snakebite out. He hated Snakebite. He did not want to see Snakebite out there because he was afraid it was taking it in another direction. When we weren't running the Panda series, we did take the wrestling thing a little bit extreme. Like I said, when I dropped Andy, I remember in Houston when we actually took Snakebite down there and we did a best out of 3 matches against Gravedigger. And Austin said something earlier about some of the stuff, that you might have done that you thought you were going to lose your job over or something like that. Well, it was a U.S. hot rod show, and Gravedigger was supposed to win one. I was supposed to win one in Snakebite, and then the third one was going to be anybody's game. It was just a grudge match. We didn't even have to run the other 20 monster trucks that was there. And as I was going down the tunnel to go onto the track, Bob Chandler comes on the walkie-talkie and he says, "We don't lose anything." And I'm like, Bob, they told us where. He goes, "I'm telling you, we don't lose anything." So we didn't. And Lyle Hancock, after the second round, came out there and he's like, "What the hell are you doing? You're supposed to." And I'm like, the old man, which that's what everybody calls him, the old man said, "We ain't losing shit." And so then in the finals, I beat him again and rolled the truck over on the top and took it outside. And they said, well, in US Hot Rod, at that point, they just said, well, we'll fix this. We'll make you run a freestyle for a clap off. Well, you don't ever run on a clap off against Gravedigger. You never win. There's just no way. I mean, they could run outside, run around the building for 25 minutes and pull the roof off the top. And I mean, they're going to do whatever it takes to win. And I knew that. Well, the fans were booing and whatever. And I got up on the truck and act like I was dropping my fire suit to moon the crowd. And they didn't like that at all. And I walked across the arena floor. I was up on the roof of the truck, of the Snakebite truck. And as the truck was moving, I think that was one of the first time that ever been done. And I mean, later John Seesock perfected it and Tom Mintz, the roof walk thing. And as I was going across the floor, and I don't know why, why do we do half the shit that we do? I don't know. We don't have an answer. There's a switch in our brain, it's a male thing. So anyway, I'm doing that across the roof, and Bob's up in the VIP suites where he's at with Donna Purcell, one of the other girls that work for us. And he looked over at her and he said, "Can he do that?" And Donna looked right back at him and said, "He just did." And I was just like, wow, I mean, that's the moments that you're not really thinking, but you're so pissed off that you basically want to flip the whole crowd off, like AKA Steve Austin. Yeah. But we ain't gonna get by with that. Not there. You'd be blackballed for sure. Then Steve Austin can get by with it.
Well, Austin, you got some more questions over there? I'm sure you do.
Oh man, I'm I'm just kind of taken away just by a lot of the. I'm just kind of reading up on just a bunch. I'm just so kind of thrown away. Honestly, I'm honestly looking forward. I'm assuming you're going to be going back to Butler next month for the actual grand opening of the new building.
Yeah, well, we were in discussions. Actually, some people reached out to me today and brought that up. I thought it was important. Again, I want to do whatever I can to keep the dream alive. You know, I'm not the owner. I'm not the one who started the whole museum part up, but I'm also not one that gets inducted, and I don't want to be one just to take it lightly, because I took it lightly that first year. And I'll do everything I can to help out within my limits, and you know, because I am 8 hours away. But I feel like I played a pretty important part in monster trucks, in the history of the monster trucks, and not only with Snakebite but with Bigfoot, and you know, the Samson team, and many people don't know I drove Thumper at an event in Nashville, Tennessee, and did you know, of course, the John Breen era, the Stomper Bully and stuff like that. So I've had a chance really to drive for a lot of people, Donnie Van Leeuwen and the Magnum Force, and I've never been one to say no. It's the next day is when I say to myself, I should have said no. But I really want to see this continue to grow, and I'll do whatever I can. And I love telling the stories because, again, today's generation of drivers, there's just a handful that probably can tell stories. And a lot of them just don't have the stories that we have, because we paved the way. We paved the way to, and in Bigfoot's instance, it's 45 years for a sport that many back then thought it was just a fad, or it would be gone in as many or few as 5 or less than 10 years. And look where it's at today. I mean, we have our own identity. We have our own Hall of Fame, a monster truck Hall of Fame. Look how long for them to put a NASCAR Hall of Fame together. I mean, so it's really for a chance for not only yourself, but others that hopefully are listening tonight or tuning in to find out what International Monster Truck Hall of Fame is all about. Get online and not to get a shameless plug to them, but you know, sign up for the newsletter. You get a free pin, you know, and it's like you're supporting monster trucks by not going to the show, but you're supporting monster trucks that you went to as a kid and they might not be in your area anymore. Well, this is the next best thing, you know. Join, become a member today, and get out there and it make you feel good about it.
Well, I'm with you on that. Sorry, just trying to get myself together over here, make sure I don't screw up the outro like I did in the last video. But Gene, we just want to thank you so much for hopping on the air with us, giving us some good stories. We love story time today. And thank you so much for jumping on the air with us.
Hey, yeah, there's another one too. Monster Truck Attitude on YouTube. Another shameless plug. The guy's doing die-cast racing. You guys, if you're cooped up in your house and you want to watch monster truck racing, get on there, because AKA I've been wheeling Snakebite this whole month.
I literally just sent Tweety a link to one of the videos, and the reason I sent it is because I'm like, okay, either this guy is just like saying it's Gene Patterson, or Gene Patterson is actually like involved in this group on Facebook to drive these diecast trucks. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
it is.
From all of us here at the Throttle Out Show, brought to you by Vixen Industries, we just want to say thank you for tuning in. And remember, when in doubt, throttle out. Peace out. All right, coming back down to earth. There we go.